What is good, everybody? This is your boy, Aaron.
It's Brian.
And this is the Courtside View Podcast. And we are back today for another episode of the Courtside View Podcast. And the Super Bowl is here, 2 weeks away. We finally at the final arc, the final game of the season. And boy, oh boy, I'm excited. Here we go. All right. NFC Championship game. Two really good teams, two teams that in the same division. They met 3 times this season. 2 times went wire to wire. This time again went wire to wire. Went to the final buzzer. And oh my gosh, we got a lot to say. I got to say this first. Sam Darnold was sensational. Sam Darnold was very accurate. Was making really good decisions. Sometimes, the offensive line wasn't protecting him like it should, and he was able to either throw the ball away or evade the pass rush to get a completion or to scramble for a first down. I thought Sam Darnold was exceptional this game. He was 25 for 36 passing, 346 yards passing with 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. That is an exceptional quarterback performance. A 127.8 passer rating. Unbelievable.
Pretty good.
That is pretty good. So, Brian, let me ask you this. What was your thoughts on the game, and how did you feel about Sam Darnold?
Oh man, my thoughts on the game. This game lived up to the expectations I had. I was expecting a very close bout between these two heavyweights. These two were the best two teams left in the playoffs, in my opinion, and they showed it with that game going down to the wire. And man, Matt Stafford, even though he lost, he's special. In the last 2 games he played against the Seahawks, he was able to put up 800 passing yards, I believe 6 TDs and no picks. That's a special QB right there. It's a shame that the Rams defense just decided to not show up. Honestly, the Rams defense haven't really showed up since week 11. Like the second half of the season, the Rams defense has just been getting torched and gashed. Mostly the secondary, because they have a lot of Jags out there. They don't really have like a bunch of dudes. Jared Verse, you got a couple guys on that D-line, but Jared Verse wasn't even that effective in this game against the Seahawks. So I really enjoyed the game. The wide receivers went crazy. Puka and JSN both had over a $150 in a touchdown, I believe. So it was just an overall good game. Kenneth Walker was going crazy as well. It was just a really good game all around. I enjoyed it. It felt like this was like the Super Bowl before the Super Bowl, in my opinion.
This a lot. We have a lot to say about this game because we both picked the Rams. I went with more of my heart than my head this game because I thought the experience. I thought Matthew Stafford being the better quarterback, and I thought Sean McVay being the more experienced head coach was going to prevail in this game. I was wrong. They had a lot of opportunities this game to really win it. Special teams really killed them. It seems like Shanahan treat people. Special teams has always been a common theme. Kyle Shanahan in the Super Bowl with the 49ers. And then Sean McVay in the NFC Championship game. And then obviously my Packers. We don't need to go down that road. But regardless, special teams, that was a killer because that changed the entire momentum of that game because it seemed like the Rams, they got a huge stop. And then all of a sudden, one of the returners just – I don't know. He forgot how to catch a football, and he ended up bobbling the pass, and it ended up going to the Seahawks way, and they were able to score on that next drive. So I think that was humongous for just the game in general, that special teams blunder by the Rams. But then I think another thing that really determined this game was obviously the end of the game with the Rams. They had the ball. They had the chance to go up in the game and potentially win it. But I think Sean McVay made a mistake. I agree for him going for it on 4th down. I think that was the right move because you have Matthew Stafford and your defense hasn't been playing all that well. You don't want to take a chance. You don't want to run the risk of, okay, I'm gonna kick the field goal and then hope that my defense is able to give us the ball back with enough time. And as we noticed towards the end of the game, when they finally got the ball back, they didn't have enough time to even get in the field goal range. So that just lets you know that regardless of what people are saying on Twitter, all these analysts are saying, oh, they should have went for it. they shouldn't have gone for it. They should have kicked the field goal. I disagree because as we saw, they didn't even have enough time to get in the field goal range. All they could do was get to like maybe the 50-yarder. So um, I disagree with that point. But regardless, I like the aggressiveness to go for it. But here's my thing: the final play is where I have an issue. The final play, I get the idea. They wanted Puka to be like this decoy, and then the defense will key in on Puka, and then it'll free up. I believe it was the tight end in the middle of the red zone, whatever, and then Matthew Stafford was able to deliver the football. But here's the thing: unfortunately, it didn't work because the person that was defending the tight end was just the better person in that matchup. He was the better dude in that matchup, and Matthew Stafford wasn't able to complete the pass because the guy was playing really, really good coverage. My problem with that play is that you effectively took your best player out of the play. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I understand, you want to confuse the defense, but I feel like that was the wrong move. I feel like if you're going to go down, swinging, you want to have your best players with the chance to win the game. I don't think that was the right move at all. I think maybe you could have confused the defense by motioning Puka Nacua like they did with JSN the entire game. And I'm going to get to JSN in a minute because what Clint Kubiak was doing with JSN, oh my God. I wish Matt LaFleur would do that for Matthew Golden. Oh my goodness, because what they were doing with JSN on the backfield was insane. But anywho, I feel like Puka Nacua, they could have motioned him. It could have maybe confused the defense in some way, like how they're doing with JSN, and then I don't know, try to get Puka Nacua. I don't know if it was a crosser, a slant, something, instead of making Puka Nacua a decoy in the biggest moment of the game to decide the game. I just thought that was the wrong move. People was complaining about, oh, they only ran the ball once. But here's the thing. You run the ball once and it didn't go for no yards. Why would you run the ball again? You're going to run the risk of, oh, we're going to run the ball twice when you saw the first time that it didn't work. I disagree with a lot of people on Twitter. I disagree with all the analysts that said they should have ran the ball more in the red zone when you have Matthew Stafford, when you have Devontae Adams, when you have Puka Nacua. I disagree. I just think the passing concepts that Sean McVay was calling were just the wrong plays to call. That's where I'm at with it. What I believe Sean McVay should have done, and I was saying this as the game was going on earlier in the game. I believe they scored. I don't know if they were down after they scored or they went up when they scored. But I just remember them kicking a field goal. They were down in the game. So what happened? They scored, and they could have made it a 3-point game if they would have gone for 2. But they elected to go for, a PAT. And I thought that was the wrong decision because even if you don't get the 2-point conversion, you're going to still be
score a
stuck
touchdown, yeah.
in the same predicament. So when I saw Sean McVay do that, not go for 2, I was like, no. Like, you got to go for 2. I know it's earlier. I think it may have been the second quarter. I know it's earlier in the game, but dude, like, you got to think.
They it's better to go for it early so you know what you need.
Exactly my point. So I just thought right there, I thought that was the biggest mistake Sean McVay made, was not going for 2 instead of everybody complaining about, oh, he went for it on 4th down instead of taking the points. I think, imagine this, if he went for 2, then at the end of the game, they could have gone for a field goal and then they would have tied it, and then you could pray that your defense is going to hold up, which they did. That, I'm like, okay, that's what people need to be talking about more. But regardless, Matthew Stafford played an exceptional game. It's just unfortunate his defense wasn't able to hold up, and some of the play calls by Sean McVay didn't turn out too well. So that's my thoughts on just the Rams and Sean McVay situation. I don't want to hold up too much time because I want to let Brian get some stuff in, but I'll speak on JSN a little bit later. But yeah, Brian, do you have any more thoughts on this game?
As far as, okay, for the Rams, Okay. At first, I was team kick the field goal in that situation where they went for it on 4th and 4. But after further evaluation, going forward was the right decision there. It's just you gotta judge the process, not the outcome. And I was judging the outcome because they failed the 4th and 4. But as far as the tip about your tidbit about running the ball while they ran it before and it didn't work. My thing is usually they say if it's like 3rd and 5 or less, and you know you're going for it on 4th down if you don't convert, your best bet is to just run the ball, make the downage a little bit easier to get on that 4th down. It opens up your options because now you can really run the ball, you can pass the ball. No one was expecting to run on that 4th and 4. So on 3rd down, they could have just ran the ball and made it maybe possible. And even if you just get a yard, 4th and 3 is better than 4th and 4. So I understand they it didn't really work the one time they did, but I don't know. I feel like they weren't horrible running the ball that game. Like as a team, they averaged 5 yards a carry, that's a pretty good against the Seahawks uh defense. But I don't know. I just feel like Sean McVay, he could have cooked up a little something better. I do agree with the fact that that ball has to go to Puka or Devontae Adams or somebody. I don't know what was going on there. You got Matt Stafford. I I don't know. Is that play? And also, do you agree that play should have gone in the end zone instead of maybe playing the sticks a little bit? Because I know they were
I'm a
pretty close to the goal line. So I mean, I
mm,
guess it would just make sense to just go for it if you go to the end zone. But I don't know. I feel like 4 or 5 yards is better than trying to get a touchdown in that scenario. You could have played with 4 more downs, maybe drained a little more clock. I don't know. I don't know.
mm, it's a good point. I don't know. I don't know, but all I can say is that the final play, I just didn't like. I disagree with his philosophy. I understand what he was trying to do, but um, it's like in the NBA when you have a superstar player and you decide instead of giving the superstar player the ball to either tie the game or end the game, you run a play for him to be the decoy and give a role player the ball to decide the game. It's like no, 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 no. That's not how you do it. That's not what you do here. And I just felt like he overthought it a little bit.
Like
And
I'm looking at the sequence breakdown. It was first and first and 10 at the Seattle 16. No, Seattle 12. First and 10 at the Seattle 12. They threw a short little pass to Puka that got 6 yards. Then 2nd and 4 at the Seattle 6. They ran the ball for no gain. Incompletion on 3rd and 4. They was trying to throw it to Mumpfield, who the heck that is. And then on 4th down, they try to get the ball to Ferguson and then incomplete. My thing is, I'm running that ball again on 3rd down. I'm sorry, you gonna have to stop it twice if that's me. But I don't get paid millions of dollars to call plays, so I'm just a guy with a camera and a microphone, like everybody else.
I'm wondering what did the running game look like in the fourth quarter? Because
That's a
that's
good
another
question.
thing.
I wish I could see the breakdown.
Because I see one run play by Blake Corum went for -1 yards. I see what else? Kyron Williams. Oh no, that he was in a passing. He was catching the ball. Got one Blake Corum run for 11 yards. You have they ran the ball
Yeah,
twice. They ran the ball twice on their second to last drive.
yeah.
So they had
See?
one good run play by Blake Corum, and then everything else was a dud. Hmm.
Yeah,
I
interesting.
don't know. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. I'm looking. You know what? I'm looking at the third quarter where they scored a touchdown before the fourth, and let's see here.
5 plays. I don't think they didn't.
They had a 5 yard run by Kyron Williams. Well, yeah, 5 yard run by Kyron Williams, 3 yard run by Kyron Williams, Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. They weren't really getting much on the ground. It seems like to this point, it was more so they were getting a lot of chunk yards from the passing game. But I get your point though. You got to be more deceptive and uh, just you got to give them a different look because they were giving them like passing down, passing
It's
down,
hard to
passing
it's
down.
hard to pass in that red zone, especially when like you on the 60-yard line.
Yeah,
A lot of clutter in that um in them 20 yards in the end zone, 10 yards in the end zone. You ain't really have much space to work with.
and then you don't want to also be the person that didn't give Matthew Stafford at least 3 tries. It's like you get it, you're not you're taking the ball out of his hands. So you're like,
True.
do I want to only give Matthew Stafford 2 tries to win the game potentially, or
Do
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 I
you
want to give
know
him
if
three
they run
tries?
RPOs much?
I don't know. I don't
That would
know.
have been a good, I don't think they do that much at
I don't.
all.
I don't. I don't think so because why would you do it with Stafford? But I don't know. I know they obviously run a lot of screens. Like I've seen them run
Yeah.
plenty of screens, but that I don't know.
Interesting.
I would have to look at the film again. But
Well,
yep, that's
but oh
all he
oh
wrote.
now that's just the offense. Let me get on this Rams defense. Let me tell you something.
Terrible, terrible.
They, like I said, ever since like week 11, midway through the day, have been terrible. I mean, like, what does Jared Verse do out there? Bull rush man. Like, what, he doesn't do anything else.
Kadoosh, kadoosh,
Kadoosh,
kadoosh.
kadoosh, kadoosh. Like, man, that defense was so pathetic, bro. JSN did whatever he wanted out there, and Kenneth Walker was out there toting that rock like he was Marshawn Lynch or something. Oh my goodness, they just like it was big play. Like they couldn't get off the field on third down. It was bad, man. They just let Sam Darnold carve them up back there. Sam Darnold ain't no scrub, mind you, but like you held him at bay in the previous matchups for the most part. Like you couldn't generate no turnovers this game.
That's a good
That
point.
that
Yeah,
that that was just a disaster class for them. Chris Shula, you lost a lot of money on this game because you was getting head coaching considerations. Not anymore after the would you put your unit out there. Good grief, them boys was getting abused out there. Like crazy thing is, what's even worse about the oh they didn't convert on 4th and 4. They were pinned on their 6-yard line, and they still went pretty much the length of the field and iced the game. As you know, they punted. They punted actually, but they
they
still got. I mean, they got up to the 30. They still got up to about the 50-yard line.
yeah, yeah.
Like that's unacceptable.
Very unacceptable. Yep. And the
Yeah, that
defense,
defense that was a terrible performance from them.
I give the defense credit on this one because here's my thing with the defense because I thought in the fourth quarter they were pretty good. They forced Seattle to punt twice, but like you mentioned, those 11 plays at the end for Seattle that really hurt them. And that even though they didn't score, even though they couldn't get in the field goal range, allowing Seattle to generate 11 plays when you know that your offense needs to get the ball back, that's tough. That's tough. And I think they got the ball back. I'm looking at it with 4 minutes and 54 seconds left.
Yeah,
That's a lot of time.
it
And
is.
the fact that by the time the Rams got the ball back, the offense got the ball back, it was 25 seconds left. Now that's bad.
I'm also wondering why Sean McVay used his timeout so early.
Mm.
Because I know they say it's better to use them early, but it was a one possession game. So why not play it out until the 2 minutes? So you can use a timeout right before the 2 minute, and then you can have an additional timeout at the 2 minute. But I don't know. I don't know. I know this defense is really good. Maybe you were saving timeouts in case you wanted to change up a look in on that 2 minute drill, but I don't know, man. I would have tried to at least tough it out a little bit. Like I said, I'm not getting paid millions of dollars to manage the game like that.
Listen, man,
Some
salute to Seattle, bro. So you
Yeah,
salute
Seattle
to
played a
Seattle.
heck
They
of a
played a
game.
hell of a
I
game.
picked the Rams to win, but
That that
apparently,
drive, that
yeah.
drive in the third quarter, when I want to say it was when the Rams scored in
Hmm.
4 plays to get it to 20-24.
Yep.
When Seattle got the ball back, them 9 plays that resulted in a touchdown, I was like, damn, because it was looking like the Rams were. Because remember, the corner, what's his name? He got a taunting flag for taunting.
Woolen.
Woolen. Remember Woolen? Like he got the stop and he was taunting. He was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know what he said. He must have said something crazy. But he got the flag. And then immediately afterwards, the Rams Puka torched him for a touchdown.
Hmm.
And it was looking like the Rams were on their way to potentially win this game. It's like the momentum was coming back. And then all of a sudden, the Seahawks get the ball back and they say, not today. And they just went 9 plays, 65 yards, touchdown. I'm like, damn. Nah, they built different. They just the better team today. That's simple. Simple like that. Because I'm looking at what transpired with Cooper Cup when he got that touchdown. They were just a better team that day. The fact that they were able to go from giving up that touchdown, the cornerback made a mental mistake,
Oh
and then
wow.
immediately said, "We got this," and then went straight down the field and scored a touchdown. That's a
You want to
testament
know?
to that team and a testament to the coaching.
Yeah, facts. I agree. I didn't even know this. I'm just looking at the team stats. The Rams were 1 for 8 on third down.
Yeah,
That is not ideal. And the Seahawks, they were 7 for 13. So
that's all they
that'll
wrote.
do it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that'll
that'll
do it.
do it. That'll do it. I remember there was a drive. I remember the Rams defense was actually doing a good job in like the first 2 downs of generating pressure,
Hmm.
of forcing Seattle to either not complete a pass, either Sam Darnold gets sacked, long distances, and then all of a sudden, Sam Darnold is just able to either scramble for a first down, able to hit his receivers, able to get. I remember, I want to say it was Kenneth Walker. There was this one play. It was a third and long, I believe it was. And I believe he caught the ball and he was able to get the first down, barely getting the first down. That was huge because it seemed like the Rams were going to force the Seahawks offense to turn over in downs. But no, Kenneth Walker, he was able to get open, catch the ball. They was able to get a first down. And I thought that was a huge momentum shift for the Seahawks because I believe that may have gotten them to score or something. But yeah, man, like Seattle, whenever they needed to make a play, they made it. It's just that
Yeah,
simple. Literally. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
yeah.
Puka Nacua had an amazing game. Devontae Adams had an amazing game, but it wasn't enough. Just wasn't enough.
At least we
I
got a
want to
good
talk.
game.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
least
Oh
we
yeah,
got,
we yeah, that was
yeah.
a fantastic game. Oh my gosh. So enjoyable. Lived up to the hype, lived up to expectations. It's just unfortunately the team that I was rooting for ended up losing, but it's whatever. I'm not gonna
Harp on
be all sad
it.
and stuff, but it was an entertaining game. But I want to get to Jackson Smith and Jigba because what Clint Kubiak was doing with him, bro, the entire game. I gotta say this, and I'm gonna bring up my Packers when I talk about this. You see what happens. You see the value of having a number one wide receiver, of having a wide receiver that you can move around, a wide receiver that is one of the better pass catchers, one of the better route runners in the NFL. I'm watching Jackson Smith and Jigba. They moving him around. They got him in the backfield. You could tell it's confusing the Rams defense. They don't know what he's doing. I'm looking at that and I'm like, and then Brian, I was watching film and so many times because Jackson Smith and Jigba is such an elite receiver and such a threat downfield, he allows other guys to get open. So like the coverage would be so occupied on Jackson Smith and Jigba, he'll be double covered. Two guys will be in their zone around his area, and that'll leave somebody else open. And see, that's why I don't care what anybody says. Oh, it's better, to have just a bunch of receivers that are not a number one because the defense don't know who is going to go to. That's a bunch of BS because Jackson Smith and Jigba and Clint Kubiak showed you why having a bona fide number one superstar receiver can have an effect on your offense. Because literally, a lot of times that was happening with Jackson Smith and Jigba. When he wasn't getting the ball, he was pretty much a decoy, allowing the other guy to get open. A Rashid Shaheed, a Cooper Cup, Jake Bobo. Like these guys right here, they're getting open a lot of times because of Jackson Smith and Jigba. So I don't want to hear that. This is why I bring up my Packers, because for the past, ever since Devontae Adams left, they've had this philosophy of we're just gonna bring in a bunch of okay
Wide receiver by
receivers
committee.
and do wide receiver by committee, and there's not gonna be a definitive number one receiver. And here's the problem with that. This right here, because what you're doing is you're not taking advantage of the fact that you have a number one wide receiver, and the defense isn't going to leave open other receivers. Like you can use your number one wide receiver as a decoy, or you can move him around like what the Cowboys do with CeeDee Lamb, like what the Seahawks do with Jackson Smith and Jigba, like what the Rams did with Puka Nacua this game and then other games. Like it's very important. Justin Jefferson, like these, like it's so valuable to have a receiver that you can move in the slot, you can move in the backfield, you can move outside. I don't understand why Matt LaFraud doesn't think to himself, you know what, we draft this guy Matthew Golden. He could run the route tree pretty well. He runs a 4-2, 4-3. He has really good hands. He can separate. You know what? Let's move him around. Let's stop having him only catch screens or have him just on fade routes. How about we move him around? No, that's not what he does. That's not what he does. And this game showed itself. This game exposed that weak philosophy of it's okay not to have a number one wide receiver. It's okay to just have a bunch of mediocre to
Jags.
at best number two receivers. Like I think that's BS.
Trust me, I have lived through the wide receiver by committee nonsense, and thankfully Jerry Jones and them smartened up and said, "Yeah, let's trade for Amari Cooper. This is some bull right here." So I'm 100% in agreement. You got to get a guy that is a game changer on the field. Like all the teams that were in the Final Four had at least one guy you could rely on in a big moment to go out there and make a play. The Rams had Puka, the obviously JSN on the Seahawks. Cortland Sutton on the Broncos, even though he's not the tier of Puka Jason, he's still a number one receiver, and you can live with him as a number one receiver. And even though Stephon Diggs is a little bit past his prime, he still draws quite a bit of attention from defense. So you got to have that playmaker on your team to step up in big moments like that. And not only do you need that play, you have to scheme for the player using his strengths and abilities. This is why I'm such a big fan of wide receivers that play all over the line. They can line up on the inside, outside, put in mode like that. I believe it's called RB Scissors, that play that they ran. JSN kind of motioned in the back, and he went to the slot, and then he was wide open. Like, you need to be able to use your wide receiver one like that. I like the outside. Oh, can he win on? I don't care if he can win on the outside. Does he win everywhere? That's what I'm worried about. And JSN wins anywhere. He made that leap like I thought he was going to be, and it's a reason people would always be like, "Man, why do all those Ohio State receivers keep saying JSN is the best out of the?" Now we see why. Because he's doing stuff like this in the NFC Championship game.
He can run routes. He can catch. He's versatile. You can put him in the slot.
He ain't fast, but he's quick.
He's very quick. Yes, absolutely.
Short range quickness, man. And like Brady said, Brady dropped a good nugget talk about his shoulders, how he doesn't have a tail with his shoulders like most wide receivers when he's about to break in on a route. I need to look at some of his tape to see what he means by that. I don't know if he means like what does he mean by he doesn't like raise his shoulders, because you obviously have to raise your shoulders if you're running. So I don't know if he's just like talking about doing all the extra movement or what. I need to see what he's talking about, because
Well,
I never played football, so I wouldn't
yeah,
know the
yeah.
nuance of that.
Well, I guess. Well, it seems like what he's saying is that he doesn't show his hand, like how a lot of receivers tend to show their hand when they're about to break their route. I like you mentioned, I don't know exactly how he does it, but it's working. It's working. So hey, top five receiver for a reason. And I just think the whole philosophy of not having a number one, only going with a bunch of right like that's old. That's old news. Like
That was
that was
cool
the
when
Patriots.
running the football was the main thing, but nowadays you can't get away with that.
Like that whole philosophy, that was 2010s. That was Patriots. That was Tom Brady. Like that whole era. Like we're in a new era where you actually have to have a number one receiver if you want to go anywhere. And I
Only
think
Mahomes was able to get away with that. Mahomes and
yeah,
Brady.
yeah, Mahomes is yeah, he's like that. He's like that. But I think
Actually,
nowadays
no, that don't count because they had Travis Kelsey.
elite pass catcher. I'll just say that elite pass catcher. You need to have an
Yeah.
elite pass catcher. And I think without an elite pass catcher, it's going to be very hard. That's why the Patriots and what they're doing is I give them a little bit of credit because they are definitely overachieving with who their pass catchers are. Because I didn't think they were going to go this far, but the fact that they did is you could say the schedule is a bit light, but at the same time they made it to the Super Bowl, and I think this is a great segue to get to the game, Patriots versus Broncos, and this was
Mm.
yeah, this is one of those games like, but it was a close game throughout. Snow game towards the later end of the game, but it was I wouldn't say entertaining, but it was a close game. I'll just say it's a close game, and
Definitely one of the games of all time.
Brian, you got to be quiet sometimes, dude. You got to be quiet. You keep jinxing these teams.
I'm gonna
Talking
do it again
about
in the Super Bowl.
it might be scarier to face a backup QB than a fringe top 15 QB. You got to be quiet, bro. It was
He was
seven
hooping for that
seven.
one drive. I was moved. They definitely would have won that game with Bo Nix.
Come on, man. Oh yeah. Cuz I think what they were missing was his legs.
Yeah,
His off script nature.
and
They
it's
would have
just
had
his
that. Yeah.
overall like game IQ. Like I feel like he would have just not like that pick he threw. I don't know what he was looking at. Christian Gonzalez was all over him. I don't think Bo Nix would have threw that in that moment.
Yeah, they were definitely missing Bo Nix's his
Intangibles
legs,
and all that
his
stuff.
ability to extend plays because Jarrett Stidham, like Cam Newton said on his podcast, when things are off script, there's a reason why he's the backup. So yeah, man, it was just one of those games where the team that made the three biggest plays that didn't turn the ball over is going to win. And that's literally what happened with the Patriots. I was watching the film, and, a lot of people want to criticize Drake May for this game. And I think the stat sheet doesn't tell the whole story because I felt like Drake May didn't play that bad. I felt like, given the circumstance, the conditions, I don't think he was awful
Oh,
at all because I'm looking at a lot of what's going on in that game. And it was just the Broncos defense, the passing defense was outstanding. They were covering damn near everything. And even when the play call was the correct play call, Kayshawn Booty is not better than Patrick Surtain. Like when you look at the two shots that Drake May took,
mm-hmm.
nobody else was really open in that scenario. And really, the design of the play was to go to Kayshawn Booty. And he was like, you know what? Nobody else is really open. Let me take a shot with my guy who, 50-50 chance he may come up with it. It just so happens he was going up against the best corner in football, and that was Patrick Surtain. So what could he really do? There's not much he could really do in that scenario other than pray that Kayshon Boutte can get another one-handed catch like he did against Derek Stingley. So for all it's worth, I think Drake May, did he play well? No, but I don't think he played bad. I don't think he played awful. The Texans game, he was bad. That was a bad game. But this game, I felt like it was, if you can give a comparison to Drake May's game, it was pretty much how Mahomes played against the Baltimore Ravens. Mahomes didn't play all that great, but he managed the game. He didn't turn the ball over. He threw the ball when he needed to. Now, Drake May, he should have thrown the ball away on various occasions when there was nothing downfield because a lot of his sacks were coverage sacks or the offensive line broke down. So Drake May, yeah, he could have thrown the ball away. But let's be honest, if he would have thrown the ball away, what is he going to do on the next down? Because the Broncos defense was going to shut that shit down too. So he had nothing really he could do in that scenario. I don't even think the running game was all that good. I'm looking at the stats right now.
He had some good rushes every
yeah,
here and there,
25
but
carries.
overall, yeah, the Broncos defense. You said they were second in run defense.
Yeah.
So,
and they were
especially
top
in that weather. Everyone knew they was running. You couldn't really do anything about it.
I think they're the best passing they're one of the best passing defenses. I know that for sure. Like they're top 3 in rushing, top 3 in passing. It showed itself.
Yeah, so I can't. Yeah, I'm not gonna harp on Drake May. It wasn't a great game, but considering the conditions, like you said, not many QBs will perform in that. It was dang near a blizzard out there, and I know people always bring up Matt Stafford against the Eagles last year, but bro, we're comparing Matt Stafford to Drake May. Drake May is in his second year. Matt Stafford's been in the league for 10 plus years.
And
can we stop? And he had Puka Nacua.
Yeah, Puka Nacua. Yeah, Puka Nacua. Like there was no Puka Nacua on the Patriots. And Sean McVay is a damn good play caller. So let's get that out the way.
And they wasn't wearing white jerseys in the snow. Well, all white uniforms. They did have white. They was wearing the white and blue on the road against Philly. But yeah, let's slow it down. Okay, y'all bringing up one QB performance as credit to he should have performed in the what? Bro, relax. That was crazy, and it was mile high.
That's I
gotta give Drake. Granted, Drake May hasn't had a great playoff run, but he ain't trash.
No, he ain't trash. No.
He made plays when he needed to, especially with his legs.
Scrambles. Yeah, them legs.
Yeah, that scramble at the end of the game, he got the first down. That was off script. They didn't even know he was going to do that. So yeah, let's give him some slack, okay. I do want to give some credit to this Patriots defense though. Pat's defense, man, that D line was getting after it today, and mind you, the Broncos are one of the best offensive lines in the entire league. And they was just Milton Williams. He went crazy. He had 8 pressures, and he had a 28% pass rush win rate as a D tackle. That is edge production type numbers. Milton, that was a great sign for them in the offseason. And Gonzo, even though he got beat on that one play on that touchdown, I believe, he came back and got a pick, and he had a pass defense, and he had a sack. So yeah, you got to give credit to them boys. They was out there playing their behind off. And I want to give another credit to coaching. One thing I give Mike Vrabel credit for, I know people had got on him previous playoff runs and how he faltered and fell short. I feel like this time he knew exactly what his team was and who exactly was on the other team. He said, listen, we're not going to get super cute and try to force stuff that ain't there. We're going to play our game of football, and we're just going to punt and rely on our defense because the defense has been tearing stuff up all day. And he relied on his defense. And he said, we're going to drain some clock. We're going to run the ball. Even if we ain't going to get a whole bunch of yards, we ain't going the length of the field in this weather. So we might as well play clock game and play defense. And that's what you needed to do to win this game in these type of conditions. You're playing with a lead. There's no need to get cute in this weather. And you're going against a backup QB also. No need to get too cute. So I'll give Mike Vrabel credit on that because I feel like a lot of coaches probably would have tried to do too much and put your QB in a position to turn the ball over, do some stupid stuff. So I'll give Mike Vrabel and the coaching staff props on that.
Yeah, yeah. It's good game management, good identification of what exactly your team needs in order to win. Because in that scenario, like you mentioned, you could have done too much and it would have put your team in predicament to cough up a turnover. So it was smart what he was doing because I was watching the game. I'm just like, people like, oh, why did they call that play like that? And I'm like, well, it's in the snow and Jarrett Stidham is the quarterback for the Broncos. You don't really need to do much. Just trust your defense, put them in terrible field position. That's all you really do. That's all you got to do. Like in this scenario, I was watching the game. I'm like, man, a field goal. I think it may have been 7-7 at the time or 10-7. Yeah, when it was 10-7, I was like, the Patriots, all they need is a field goal. And they got this game on lock. They didn't even need a field goal. They won. They couldn't even score another point, and they still won the game because that's how bad the Broncos' offense was, and that's how bad the conditions were at that moment. All they had to do, protect the football, and just play defense. That's literally it, and
And
that's
it
what they did,
worked.
and it worked. Yep, it worked. So, congratulations to the Patriots. They're going to the Super Bowl. It's been, you know, Brady. He's been gone for how many years, and now they're back in the Super Bowl.
It's not
And
fair.
my Packers haven't been back in the Super Bowl since 2011.
It's
So
just unfair.
yeah, it's unfair. It's unfair. They literally have had. I think it's been 5 years since Brady left the Patriots, and they've gone through three head coaches because they got Vrabel, who's the third head coach. Drafted a quarterback. They had Cam, then they had Mac Jones, and now they have Drake May. They went through 3 or 4 quarterbacks. I think Jarrett Stidham also started the game for them. They went like four quarterbacks that they started,
I think
and now they're
what's his
back to the
name?
Super Bowl.
That dude from college. Not that dude from college. All the players came from college nearly. Dang, I forgot his name. He was going crazy in college. I think he played at I can't remember his name, but yeah, they went through they that rebuild did not take long for them to just be right back in the Super Bowl again. I'm hating. I'm hating. I can't stand the Patriots, but got to give credit where credit's due. It's a good ran organization. They went and spent a lot of money this in that past free agency, which is a big factor of why. And another example of how to take advantage of a rookie contract. You had confidence in Drake May was your guy. You wanted to see improvement in the second year, and you went in the off season and through the draft and made the right moves to improve that roster and help your QB out. That's how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, yeah, man. And they were aggressive and they were smart in some of their decisions. They drafted a left tackle. Now, Will Campbell has been a bit shaky, but I understand the idea. They drafted a left tackle. Even before that, they went and got Christian Gonzalez, now one of the elite cornerbacks in the NFL. You go out and get Milton Williams from the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the better defensive tackles in the NFL. Yeah, you paid him a boatload of money, but you can never go wrong with interior defensive linemen, especially in this NFL where interior defensive lineman is becoming more and more important by the years. And they drafted Travion Henderson, who it took him a little bit, but he finally got it going, and he was huge for them this game. They have a really good running game with Ramondre and Travion Henderson, and then obviously the ascension of Drake May in year 2 because of Josh McDaniels and because his development as a pocket passer. Stephon Diggs as well.
Yeah.
That's another one. He caught some huge passes against the Texans, and he's caught some
Well,
huge
now,
passes for them throughout the
now
year.
they got Mac Hollins, who he made some timely plays too in the playoffs.
Yeah, man. It's just everything they did was smart. Unlike my team, that they'll make some smart decisions, but they still forget that the game is won in the trenches
Well, I did
Like,
trade for Michael Parsons.
yeah, Michael Parsons,
and
amazing player,
mm,
amazing player. You know, one of the two best edge rushers in the NFL, top 10 player in the NFL. But you also have to invest in the defensive tackle position, in the cornerback position. And the Packers, they didn't do that. So, and that hurt them. It really hurt them with injuries and other stuff. So, some teams they go for it, they make the smart decisions, they spend their money wisely, while other teams they overpay for offensive guards that were never really good and injury prone at their previous place, or overspend for a corner that was a slot corner, but you're trying to play him on as an outside corner because you project he would be good because of his RAS score. Like, these are just dumb stuff that you can't do if you're trying to make a run to the Super Bowl. It's just no. It's just you can't do that. But this isn't a Packers segment. Anywho, I want to segue to the second part of this conversation on the title of the podcast, which is the QB wins debate.
mm.
Listen, people, we've talked about this before, but I feel like we need to spend an entire segment really talking about the QB wins as a stat. Because what we saw these entire playoffs is why QB wins as a stat should not be considered a reasonable stat when we're comparing quarterbacks. Would you agree?
I've always been a fan of QB wins aren't a real thing. I think it's nonsense, and because look at the final four QBs left. How many can you truly say were elite? Stafford, that's it. Drake May, he's on his way, but I wouldn't put him in that elite tier just yet. But it was really just Stafford and two top 15 dudes and Jarrett Stidham. And even if Bo Nix was playing, he would be a fringe top 15 dude. So it's not even like the elite of the elite is playing in these games. It's the teams that have the best roster, and then you can have solid QB play. Like, it's always been like this. Like, the Brady and Mahomes years have fooled the masses.
I agree. Yeah, you're right. You're right. As great as Brady and Mahomes were, and Mahomes still is, I think we have to understand that football is a team sport. Football, there's 53 men on a roster. That's a lot of people.
11 players on the field at once.
And it's not like those 11 players are playing both sides. They're only playing one side of the ball. Sometimes you'll see one of those players playing maybe a few snaps on the other side or playing special teams. But for the most part, they're playing 95% of the snaps on one side of the ball. And that's where I think here's my thing. People that debate and argue this quarterback is better than this quarterback. If I'm debating with somebody and one of their big points is, well, this quarterback, all he did was win, they have no argument. Because if your whole argument is based on a team stat, you have no argument. Simple as that. Because Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl. Look what's happening with the Eagles right now. They can't get an offensive coordinator. It's been weeks, and they're still looking for an offensive coordinator. All the good offensive minds have either stayed with their teams or they already got hired. And it's because the Eagles, the situation with Jalen Hurts, with A.J. Brown, all of that, it's because Jalen Hurts is limited as a quarterback. I'm trying to think of a comparison I can give you, like what Jalen Hurts is. he's one of those guys where he can't adapt. He only plays one way, and you have to adapt to what Jalen Hurts does. Look at Kellen Moore, what he was doing with Philly versus what he's doing with the Saints. Completely different. I'm looking at Kellen Moore with Philly. I'm like, damn, they running the ball a lot. I don't remember Kellen Moore ever running the ball this much. But that's what they had to do because, again, with Jalen Hurts, you got to adapt with Jalen Hurts. You can't just, here's my scheme and you're going to run it. That's not how it works with Jalen Hurts. Now, I don't want to make this a Jalen Hurts segment, but this is just an example of what I'm talking about with how quarterbacks, we can't necessarily judge a quarterback just because, oh, they won a Super Bowl. Oh, because they had that one run. If that's the case, then Joe Flacco, why aren't we discussing Joe Flacco more? Why like, come on, man. Like let's be for real. Nick Foles, like what are we doing? What are we doing? So the QB win stuff, it blows my mind because when you go on Twitter, like that's all it is. When they'll make fun of Lamar Jackson, for example, or Josh Allen, or Joe Burrow, or one of these quarterbacks, they'll say, "Oh,
Dak Prescott,
Sam Darnold made the Super Bowl before Lamar Jackson made the Super Bowl." Like, okay, but is he better than Lamar Jackson? No, he's not. Oh, Lamar Jackson couldn't make the Super Bowl. And he's been in the league since 2018. Drake May, this is the second year he made a Super Bowl. But is he better than Lamar Jackson? No, he is not. So people want to, they want to troll and get off their agendas and narratives and stuff. But let's be honest. If we're having a real debate, if we're being serious, if you're talking to an actual ball knower who's not trolling like an Emmanuel Acho or LaShawn McCoy or one of those guys that played the game, but when they talk, sound like a casual or some guy at a barbershop. If we're actually talking to a Kurt Warner or somebody that is not in it for the clicks and views, like a Dan Orlowski or a Ryan Clark or a Stephen A. Smith, like an actual objective person that really wants to talk the game how it was supposed to be talked, how John Madden and Vince Lombardi used to, I'm bringing up them old names, used to look at the game. If you want that serious conversation, they would tell you that we can't base everything on did the QB win or not. Because if that's the case, why do a lot of people talk about Dan Marino in such a glowing way? Like, man, if Dan Marino had this and that, he was better than Joe Montana. Because people with their own eyes can see. They can see the talent. They can see what he's working with. And they know that if he was in a different circumstance, if he was with the Giants in the 80s, if he was with the 49ers in the 80s, what he would do. And I think people have lost the ability to differentiate the two. That's where
I agree. I feel like a thing that also clouds the judgment of these arguments and people who make these arguments about QB wins is the fact that most of the time, I mean, you look at the all-time great QBs, they all at least have one ring. But people, that's only one part of the equation. Look at the teams they had around them when they won that ring. Like Tom Brady always had top elite defenses when he won rings, always had solid weapons around him. Pat Mahomes had Travis Kelce, he had Tyreek Hill, it had top 10 defenses, Steve Spagnuolo, Andy Reid, great play call. Like, this is an equation. Good QB play and being a top QB is just one part of the equation to building a championship roster. If you look at like Trent Dilfer, he won a Super Bowl, but that Ravens defense was holding number 2, number 3 scoring offenses to like 6 points. So is Trent Dilfer elite? Is Eli Manning elite? No. Like, you're going to sit up here and tell me Eli Manning is elite because he had those 2 Super Bowl wins over Brady? Eli Manning had elite moments. He had some elite plays, but is he elite overall? No, we see what he looked like. past them Super Bowls. You kidding me? Like, we gotta cut it. Like, I know, like, Aaron Rodgers has a ring, but look at the people he had around him. Greg Jennings, all those people on like, you gotta really look and break down what these QBs that you want to use for these arguments about, oh, they won rings. Look what they had around them. That will tell you everything you need to know.
And I think
And
it's yeah. Keep going.
no,
Keep
go
going.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, because you brought up Aaron Rodgers. I also think it's. I feel like because people will look at his record in the playoffs and not being the greatest, and he was the number one seed. How many times he had home field advantage? How many times he had a so-called good coach in Matt LaFleur and Mike McCarthy? Even though I kind of disagree with that, but you got to understand, like, it's also timing. It's also, like you mentioned, who was around you during those times and what era did you play. Because with Aaron Rodgers, I can break it down. Now I can't really talk much about that Giants one when they went like 15-1, but the Seattle one, unfortunately, that came down again, special teams screwing them over. um
Ain't that the
15.
game where Russ had like 5 turnovers or something like that?
Yeah, 4 turnovers. Yeah. 2015.
Still won. Is Russell Wilson elite for that?
No, no. 2015. He goes up against the Cardinals.
Yep. The
Had
Larry
you and
Fitzgerald
me,
game.
as wide receivers. Nearly beat them, but we all knew they weren't going nowhere. The next year, had you and me as wide receivers, took them all the way
Jared
to the
Cook was the tight
championship.
end one.
Like, and then we get to, I want to say it was 2019. Aaron Rodgers
Randall
coming
Cobb.
back from a major Randall Cobb, coming back from a major injury, but the defense wasn't good. Here we go again, having to overcome 2020 defense. It's just like it's all about timing at the end of the day, and it's all
I
about
believe
okay
special teams
coaching.
one of them years too. I think was it 22?
So
Y'all played the 49ers in the special team. I think they got
special
the field goal
teams.
got blocked, I think, or something like that.
Special teams. And then I was watching that game, and I remember we were moving the ball down the field very effectively. I think we scored a touchdown, and then I think the next time we got the ball back, remember, I believe it was Mercedes Lewis fumbled the ball. Like, we were going down the field. We were looking like we were going 14-0 on them. And then Mercedes Lewis fumbles the ball and completely changes the momentum of the game. Instead of going up potentially 10-0 or 14-0, we're back to 7-0. And it's just stuff like that where I get people saying, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers, he had all of these opportunities," but sometimes, like, there's just stuff that is not in your control, and there are certain things that you just don't have at your disposal that other teams had because they had better coaching, they had better drafting and developing. They had better weapons at wide receiver. The Chiefs are a perfect example of that. The Patriots are a perfect example of that, where they had elite coaching from Belichick. They had not the greatest weapons, but they fit the scheme that they were running. And their offensive line was always good. Their defense was always good. So, yeah, and they always played their division was always bad. So they always had home field advantage. They always had the number 1 or number 2 seed. So you had that at your favor. And the conditions in Foxborough were at your favor. Yeah. Some of that is just luck and certain things that are in your favor that other teams just don't have. And I feel like people forget that and they ignore that and they just go off of, well, according to the stat sheet, according to the analytics, according to the record, this guy wasn't as good as people think. I see the Drew Brees was better than Aaron Rodgers debates all the time. I'm like, stop it. But anywho, I'm rambling all over the place. But the QB win stuff is
we need to did that seriously.
It's dumb
because everybody was touting Josh Allen was QB1 Ever since Mahomes went down, and guess what? He still couldn't make the championship game. Does that mean Josh Allen is an elite? No, it just means that it's more than just the QB when it comes to winning football games.
Yep.
That's all we're trying to say. We're not trying to say that QBs can't will their team to win or be a big reason of them winning games. We're just saying it's not the end all be all. QBs don't play head to head, they play against the defense.
So let me, because this game, Rams Seahawks, was it Matthew Stafford's fault that Sean McVay called a play at the end on fourth down where they didn't even involve Puka Nacua in the play at all? Is that Matthew Stafford's fault? Because
Nope.
everybody was pretty much covered, and all he did was throw it to the guy that it was designed for. What more can Matthew Stafford do? Like, these are things that doesn't show up on a stat sheet in terms of whose responsibility is it. They don't talk about that. They just look at, did he get it done or not? Well, sometimes he just has no control. It's out of his hands. So, yeah, man, people need to stop thinking like so elementary, so casually when it comes to these things. It's a lot more complicated than just, oh, this person won and this person lost. Well, how did they lose and whose responsibility was it in those games? It's not as simple as just this person won, this person lost. Anywho, we got some news regarding we got some head coaching news. The Bills. So the Bills fired Sean McDermott last week, and they've been conducting some coaching interviews. And a lot of the names that I've been hearing, it doesn't sound all that well.
Very unserious search.
I think they had Anthony Lynn was one of the people they interviewed. Phillip Rivers was one of the people they interviewed. Those are some names that I heard. I don't remember the other names on the list, but those were the two names that really raised my eyebrow. But they ultimately went with the former offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, as the head coach of the Bills.
Gave him a 5-year deal too. That is absurd.
Now, I don't know. Joe Brady has been with the Bills since, I think, 21 or 22. I think it was 20. I forget. I know Ken Dorsey. I know Ken Dorsey got fired, and then he came in and took over the reins. I think it may have been 23, either 22 or 23. But he's been there for a little bit. He's been there about 2-3 seasons. I don't know how to feel about this, other than, to me, it seems like they didn't have a plan when they ultimately fired Sean McDermott. It seems like it was an emotional decision. I don't think they thought logically, because we mentioned this before, but I didn't feel like the game was Sean McDermott's fault. I didn't think them losing was necessarily his fault. I felt like, certain calls by the refs or Josh Allen turning the ball over those times really hurt their chance to ultimately win the game. And they ultimately fired him. What is your thoughts on the Bills hiring Joe Brady?
Before I get into this, do you know of the NHL team, the Buffalo Sabres?
No.
Exactly. And guess who owns that team?
Who owns the team?
I believe his name is Terry Pegula, the owner of the Buffalo Bills as well.
Mm.
And the Buffalo Sabres are one of the worst orgs in NHL.
Mm.
And it seems like the Bills will be going down that route with the way they're moving. This is ridiculous. This Joe Brady hire is absolutely ridiculous. Bills fans aren't happy about it, and I wouldn't be happy about it either. You gave this guy a 5-year contract. What has he shown? The offense wasn't even great this year. If it was James Cook and Josh Allen's show, that's literally it. Khalil Shakir, they turned him from a legitimate slot threat to a gadget dude for the most part. Like, what is going on? This is the Bills, man. Then Terry Pagoo, he came out throwing Keon Bus I said Keon Bus, Keon Coleman under the bus. Then Brandon Bean had to be like, no, I actually did want to draft Keon Coleman. It's just not working out the way he wants. Like, this is just a top to bottom. This is just a mismanagement for an organization, hiring Joe Brady to take over the head coaching job. Now you could argue who else they could have got. They could have got, like, I don't understand. You fire Sean McDermott, then hire a dude that was part of his staff. Like, what kind of lateral movement is that? The offense, mind you, the offense was the one that turned over the ball 4 times. It wasn't the defense. And that was Sean McDermott's responsibility, was the defense. I don't know. I feel like it's just an unserious process. The names the candidates they interviewed was unserious. Bills fans should be pissed, rightfully so. I don't know what the Bills going. The way they're going down a dark path with the way that the owner is moving.
Yeah, it made no sense because at first, okay, you fired the coach who, in my opinion, was a really good coach, and he did pretty much the most he could do with the roster that he was given because Brandon Bean, the GM, can't draft to work a damn. Like he's a horrible I don't know, maybe their scouting department is just bad or just him in general when he's making the selections in the draft. He picks the wrong people because so far for like the past 3-4 seasons, they have been whiffing on draft picks, and it's really hurting this team's potential. And it's really Josh Allen and, like you mentioned, James Cook and that offense that's been carrying the load. And you decide that no, Sean McDermott, he's the guy that should be the scapegoat in this scenario when he's been staying afloat with this team. And you know what's crazy? Remember, you saw the report where allegedly Sean McDermott and I think Brandon Bean, they had like a meeting and they were discussing the roster. And I think Sean McDermott was talking about how we don't have a whole lot of talent. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but people are speculating that that ultimately had something to do with why Sean McDermott is not on the staff anymore. But I just think overall, you could tell that there was some disconnect. There was tension that was brewing, and they ultimately just went to that decision. I think it was a horrible decision. Sean McDermott has gotten the Bills to AFC championship games. He has exceeded expectations, in my opinion. And this is where organizations they make huge mistakes because they look at it from a player to player evaluation in terms of okay, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow are not in the playoffs, so this is our year. Well, like you and me mentioned with the QB win stuff, it's a team game, not a one player game. This is not the NBA, this is the NFL. And quarterbacks, while yes, having an elite quarterback can raise your ceiling, that doesn't mean that the teams that you're going up against aren't really good teams. The Broncos beat you for a reason. I picked the Broncos to beat you for a reason. It's because the Broncos were the better football team, top to bottom, outside of the quarterback. They had the better offensive line. They had the better defensive line. They had the better passing defense. And him and Sean McVay and Sean McDermott, you can make a debate who's the better head coach, but I think both of them are really good. But it's just not as simple as, well, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow aren't in the playoffs. That means this is our year. It's not that simple. And organizations like the Bills fall into that trap thinking that because those quarterbacks aren't in the playoffs, that means we have a window, we have an opportunity to get to the Super Bowl. That is just not how the NFL works. If that's the case, when the Broncos lost to the Ravens back in 2012, because that was Peyton's first year with the Broncos, and people, I think they may have been the number one seed that year, and Peyton Manning was like the final two for MVP. I think he lost to Adrian Peterson, and they lost at home. Well, why didn't they fire the head coach? Because they understand that you can't just look at it from a quarterback is playing or not playing. It's a team game. And that's how organizations like the Bills fall victim to these scenarios. You can't look at it that way. You just can't.
Nope.
You
That's
just
how
can't.
bad organizations stay bad.
And like the Bills, they've been year after year after year, they've been winning. They've been knocking on the door. Sometimes, you know what you got to do? You got to get better players. You got to draft better. The coaching looks pretty good. Now, Sean McDermott, he's not perfect. Like there's been cases where you're like, he should have done a better job here, managing the game, calling this, calling that. Absolutely. But you got to give him the players. Got to give him the opportunity. You have to eliminate any doubt from your mind that, okay, can this guy do it with this amount of great talent? He never had the great talent. He may have had maybe 1 year where they had a really good defense and a really good offense. I think um it may have been a year where they made it to
Was
the
that
championship game.
22 or
Maybe,
21,
maybe,
22? Yeah,
maybe.
when they
Maybe
lost
it
to the
was
Chiefs.
maybe it was the year they lost to the Chiefs. But they had like maybe 1 year where they had a top 10 defense and a top 10 offense. 1 year. And they went up against the Kansas City Chiefs, who I think won the Super Bowl that year. Or they lost to the Bengals that year, something like that. Either way, like it happens. And you have to keep drafting and developing. But they couldn't do it because the GM is incompetent. He's not a good GM. And they re signed the GM. Why? He sucks. He sucks. And that's why they're not going to win a Super Bowl.
Mm,
Simple as that.
hit the
Simple as that.
nail on the head.
Other news though. Other news. Jesse Minter to the Ravens. How you feel about that?
Good hire. Wait, didn't we talk about this last week? Maybe not.
I don't think so. No.
Anyway, I think it's a good move. You need that kind of guy to establish that culture. He's from the hardball tree, so you know they swap pretty much personnel. Uh, so yeah, it's a good hire for them. Another defensive minded guy, but Jesse Minter. That side of the ball is the one that needs the most help, in my opinion. That defense side of the ball, you can get good offensive coordinators grow on trees, so they should be able to. Who is that? Did they hire offensive coordinator yet? I don't think so.
I heard something about they're trying to get somebody from the Bears. Maybe an offensive coordinator for the
Oh,
Bears.
interesting. Oh, okay, yeah. I think he's the one who backed out of the Eagles. he withdrew himself from the position, but yeah, I like the Jesse Mitchell hire. Considering who was left on the market, I feel like he was one of the better candidates out there. So I feel like Baltimore they did a good thing there.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, what is your thoughts on the Cowboys getting? Was it
Oh
Christian
yeah,
Parker?
yeah, Christian Parker. I really like the hire. He was one of the guys. If we weren't going to get Jim Leonard, which we didn't get, and nobody got Jim Leonard yet. He probably just returned and play for the next coaching cycle. I like Christian Park. He was number 2 on my list if we couldn't land Jim Leonard. He's a Fangio disciple. He's produced all pro corners pretty much everywhere he's been. He's been with the Packers. Jair had all pro year. He's been with the Broncos, PS2, his second year in the league, all pro. And just recently with Quignon and DeJean, both made all pros second year in the league. So he is good at developing secondary and cornerback players. And so I'm glad for him. I'm wondering what kind of staff he'll put together. And I'm not expecting him to make this a top 10 or even a top 15 defense in year one. He just needs to be better than Eberflus, which isn't a very high bar to clear, but at least we're getting some new minds and some young, like we're going to routes. We're like, who is this guy? But then he ends up being one of the better ones, and he ended up leaving after 2 years to get a head coach. Like, I'm glad we're going that route instead of hiring a retread or going for some old dude to coordinate play to coach the defense. So I feel like it was a good hire, Christian Parker. So I'm excited to see what he'll do, how much development we'll get from that secondary play, because I feel like that was the worst spot on the defense this past season. So hey, I'm looking forward to it. I'm optimistic about it. Brian Schottenheimer, he cooked right there. I ain't gonna lie. Because
Yeah,
we
I
all
want
know
to.
Jerry Jones ain't know who the heck Christian Parker was.
Yeah, yeah. I also was high on Christian Parker as well. Like you mentioned some of the things, but you know, we went with Jonathan Gannon. I'm not too high on Jonathan Gannon. I understand in 2022 that Eagles team was, I think, number one in sacks. They're one of the best defenses.
Like
But I
they
remember
had,
you talked about that year, and you said the Eagles defense wasn't all that good, as what the stats say.
and in the Super Bowl, look what Mahomes did to them boys. Well, that
Yeah.
is Mahomes though, so you know.
But one thing I heard about Jonathan Gannon, I don't know how good this is, but he's adaptable. They say he doesn't necessarily have a specific scheme that he runs. He's not a 3-4 or a 4-3. He adapts to whatever they need to be. But I always hear, and this is the problem I have with this philosophy. It seems like it's a Green Bay thing with defensive play callers, is this conservative mindset, this beat us by 1,000 paper cuts mindset, which is pretty much we're going to force you to go down the field 15 plays to score. But see, here's the thing: you're keeping your defense on the field for a long time, and your offense is still on the bench. So you're giving the other team all the time of possession while your offense is on the field. I don't think that's a winning formula. That's just my opinion. Jeff Halfley, you can say, well, he kind of did that. And that is true. He did kind of do that. But Jeff Halfley was a wizard in some of his blitzes, some of his designs. I guess you could say design coverages. So I don't know if Jonathan Gannon necessarily does that. I don't know if he's somebody that can bring something to the table that we're not used to. I think he's going to do some of the same stuff that I've seen from Joe Barry, from Mike Pettin, from some of the worst defensive play callers under the Matt LaFleur regime. I just think he's going to be the same guy as some of those other dudes, even with the Micah Parsons, even with the Devontae Wyatt that's going to come back. I just think he's just one of those guys that he's not a motivator. He's very boring, very vanilla. You saw the clip online that's been circulating in his when he met Kyler Murray for the first time, or when they were doing those that the first, I think it was a meeting when the guys first arrived to the team,
Mm-hmm.
and he's trying to motivate them, and his speech was one of the worst speeches that you can try to motivate a team, especially grown men. I don't believe in it, but we'll have to see. Who knows? But all I can say is the Green Bay Packers invest in the defensive line, because that it seems like that's what he's good at. If you give him the right defensive line, he can do some things. But if you don't have the right, he's a defensive line merchant. I guess you could say that. If you don't have a defensive line, if you don't have an elite defensive line, you're screwed. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got to give him the horses. He's one of those play callers that really shine when you put a bunch of talent on that defense. But y'all gonna have to work that free agency or some trades, because the draft is kind of out of the option. Them first round picks are gone.
Yeah, they're gone. They're gone. But funny enough, the Packers have been really good at finding talent later in the draft. It's just what positions do you invest in?
This
That's
in
that's
this
the
draft
thing.
class, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough.
Well, you got to go best player available. Not necessarily in terms of, oh, we're gonna go running back as best player available, but if you have cornerback as number one, D tackle as number two, and I don't know, offensive lineman, offensive guard, or something at number 3, and the best player available is an offensive lineman that you need, you better take that offensive lineman. Don't just be like, well, we need a defensive. No, 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 no. Just take the best player available.
Yeah,
Don't
in this
overthink it.
draft, I'd rather have the safety one versus the third or fourth edge rusher on the board.
Because you know what happened? You know what happened, Brian? When we took Edgerrin Cooper in round 2, I believe he was either linebacker 1 or linebacker 2 in a um, not too great linebacker class.
What year was that? 23 or 24?
May have been 24.
Let me
Yeah, it was
look it up.
24 because this past year this was the second year. But guess what? We looked at, okay, he's the best or second best linebacker, regardless of the fact that there's not a lot of great linebackers. He's still arguably the best or second best, and we got him in the second round. You got to think from that perspective. Okay, on our rankings for position rankings, yeah, it's not a great draft, but for that position. But where does he rank overall in the draft? And if he ranks really, really high at his position, albeit not being a great draft for that position, you better consider taking that player. Simple.
Yeah, y'all got him at 45. Y'all actually traded up to get him, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, you traded up to get him. He was the first LB off linebacker off the board.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you got to do. And we benefited from it. He's turned out
Yeah.
to be a really good player for us. And look at the Browns this past year when they drafted Carson Schlesinger. I don't think there was
Yeah.
a good linebacker draft as well. But guess what? They said he's the number one. He's arguably the best linebacker in the draft. We get him in the second round, and I think he's going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Like, he's been that good.
Well, Jalen Walker and Jahad Campbell went above him, but he was
All right, that is all right. Off ball linebacker.
okay, yeah,
Off the best off ball linebacker.
I
Okay,
liked him over Jahad Campbell personally. So
yeah, the best off ball linebacker you could say. Because I remember before the draft, people were raving about Carson Schlesinger, and when he got drafted, people were raving about him. So yeah, the best off ball linebacker, and the same with Edgerrin Cooper. He was the best off ball linebacker. So you just got to think from that perspective. But
take the
anywho,
value,
yeah. But anywho, man, that's let's get to the final topic. We're getting close to the end, but we still got the segment, the best segment of the podcast, the salute segment. Brian, who are you saluting for this week?
All right, week. Oh wait, not week. NFC AFC Championship weekend salute segment, man. This is a good one. We got two from the same team because only 4 teams played, and guess what? You got to win to get in. First on this, we got JSN Jackson Smith and Jigba. Man, he is securing his spot as a top 3, easily top 5 wide receiver in the NFL with 10 catches, 153 yards, and a touchdown in the NFC Championship game. Are you kidding me? He was dominant out there. The Rams couldn't do nothing with that boy. Second on the list, his teammate, the dynamic duo, Sam Darnold, 25 for 36, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. Man, Sam Darnold had a heck of a performance in the NFC Championship game, willing his team to a Super Bowl appearance for the first time since 2014, man. And last on the list, we showing the defense a little love all the way in New England when they were in Denver. Milton Williams, he had 8 pressures, 28% pass rush win rate. That is edge rusher type numbers, and he plays the interior D tackle. Hey, man, getting it done in the AFC Championship game, getting New England back to another Super Bowl. So we got JSN, Sam Darnold, and Milton Williams. Salute.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, hit the notification bell, follow the socials, and we will see you guys on the next episode of Courtside View Podcast. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.
Salute.
All right.